Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Phasmophobia episode. And I'm going to be like adding off to what I talked about in the last one. Because I just added it into like a Sleep with Phasmophobia video, but this one is going to be definitely a little different. So today, I've done one of these in the past, I do believe, but today I'm just going to go to, I'm just going to go into a game here and kind of talk about, just some stuff here that I'm doing. So, and then just go through the whole process of eliminating ghosts and things of that nature. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to put it on our, which I don't have that on here. We're going to do zero sanity. We'll do zero sanity stuff here. So sprinting is going to be on, flashlights off, on for that, of course. Ghost speed is still 100. Frequency high, favorite room. I mean, it can change his favorite room. Doesn't really matter because of the fact that, I mean, we can still actually have that off so that way it doesn't, if we go to a front area, put these low, high grace period, zero evidences, setup time 0. We'll do heavy rain just for the extra stuff. No hiding places, no sanity monitor. We don't really need that. Fuse box is on and no cursed possession. So we're going to do a 10.45 times difficulty here, and we're going to go straight into a game on Willow Street, actually. This is probably the easiest one to do for no evidence runs. However, I'm going to go through my thought process for no evidence runs, so that way if somebody was, so we're just going to do this from the hardest that I can think of that a normal person would play. A normal sane person would play anyways, so that way if you're not doing APOC 3, but this is the equivalent to APOC 2, which is a little more doable than APOC 3, let me tell you. You could do APOC 2 with 1 evidence, so I believe you could do it with 1 evidence. You don't have to have 0, but it has been a couple months since I've actually attempted them. But the first things that I highly suggest you grab is you grab a pile of salt, you grab yourself a crucifix, and you grab yourself a smudge stick and a lighter. The reason being for these 3 items is considering that A, you can easily tell if the ghost is going to be a wraith or a Galu, depending on which ghost it depends if it wants to be. So if it steps in the salt, it can't be either one of those. The crucifix and the smudge sticks is of course for your protection in case it decides to hunt a second time. And of course the lighter is for obvious reasons. So if you want, you can do this as well. You don't have to bring everything up to the door, but for for Willow Street, for instance, you can throw this in here and then go back for another item. So that way your crucifix is already in the house, and so that way you can kind of breathe easy and you can carry yourself an extra item. None of this matters. None of this is going to matter. So whether your flashlight, because you got it turned off, so that's not going to matter. It's the only thing that's going to matter is a video camera in case you do decide you want to check for a mimic, but there is no sanity, so I do not suggest you do that because of the fact that you're gonna get obliterated. To test for Onryo, which we'll get into later, it's best if you go ahead for the first hunts possible. So we're going to open the door so that way the ghost is activated, because the ghost is not activated yet until we open this door. So we can throw this in here, open the door, run over here really quick, throw ourselves some salt here, and maybe right here. So now we got the cruci, so we're just going to put it right here. So now this is entirely up to you. You can go back and grab some more items that you think you're going to need, or you could just sit in here and wait. So it sounds like it's in the kitchen. They just threw a plate. So that's a little bit unfortunate for us because it can hunt in the room we're in at any point in time. So we're going to grab another crucifix, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to throw the cruci in the corner, and I'm going to hope that it doesn't try to hunt me in between that time that I grabbed another one. Let's see. Okay, he's being generous today. So not all ghosts are created equal. You're not going to have a generous ghost like this every time. Just want to point that out. So you're going to grab yourself it turned off the breaker. So you immediately know it's not a gen. When it turns off the breaker, it definitely sucks when it does that. So the best thing for you to do, if it turns off the breaker on you, This is what's gonna suck. Okay, grab the crucifix. That's not the crucifix. Grab at least one, and you hold on to it. Make your way through the house. So it's in the basement, probably. It's in the basement. So the reason why we grabbed it is because if it decides to hunt directly on top of you, it will not kill you instantly. So you'll have that defense. But best part is there's also an unofficial hiding spot that you could go to as well. So what we're going to do, since we turned on the fuse box again, we're going to turn this light on. Started hunting. Actually in the basement. This is the unofficial hiding spot, by the way. So we know it's a male ghost, so it's not going to be these two, but we also know it's going to be a couple of different ones here. It's not going to be any of these guys. So these guys are fast ghosts, which I'll start explaining that here in a second. Never have mimic marked off, because you never know. It could definitely be a mimic, and at any point in time he could decide that he wants to change himself, and you're in trouble then. So if you're still curious to why we put all right, let's go out and get in a smudge stick first. So while we're out here, we'll do it. So right now we found this Joseph Wilson, and it had a male ghost model, so it's not going to be a Banshee or a Dayan because they have to be female ghosts. Demon is still a possibility. So for this one, you're going to have to do a stopwatch or something, which I did not do because I did end up smudging it. The demon has a minute in between hunts instead of a minute and a half. Every other ghost has a minute and a half. Diogen is very, very fast. It's going to know your direct location every time, but it slows down the moment it gets to you. So that's how I knew it wasn't going to be a Diogen. I'm going to grab another smudge stick while I'm out here. So now let's go back in. I don't know why it's... Okay, so now it's hunting again. So it's normal speed, once again, which makes me think that it's not a mimic. But it can still be. So don't think that it is that. Alright, this is a yokai test. Okay, come in here, so... Okay, that was a semi-quick hunt, but we didn't learn a few things there. So, for starters, it walked in every pile of salt that we had. So, if it was a Galu, it wouldn't have walked in the salt because of where it started was right here, and then it went through here, and then here. It's not going to be a Galu because of that reason. So, the Galu has the ability, of course, to get enraged during it. So, the salt piles right here would have stepped in this one and maybe that one, but it wouldn't have stepped in this one. This one it would not have affected, so it's not a Galu because it won't be able to do that within that time frame. I didn't set my time. Oh, I didn't smudge it, did I didn't smudge it. So if you want to figure out a demon too between that, but it's not a Raiju either, and it's not a Wraith because of the simple fact that it didn't go through here, and also it's not a Phantom. And we did deduce that it wasn't a yokai either. So, yep. Okay, I smudged it right when he finished the hunts. So the hunts are a little quick, which is a little concerning. It's making me think that we got a Bambo. Like the hunts are kind of quick. So it's not a mimic because it's done the same thing twice. It's not a yokai. Yurei is kind of up in the air right now. I don't think it's twins because that hasn't slowed down. Myling is a no because I could definitely hear it when it's coming, making its way here. Moroi, it would be a lot faster. Right now we're at 30 seconds for Smudge. Oh god, we do know where the ghost room is. It's in the basement. And Oni, we'll have to look at its blinking again for Oni, because that one is probably going to be a little bit difficult to discover. But for Poltergeist, turn off the breaker again. That was me. Yeah, that was me. All right, turn off the breaker again. So, if it's a demon, it can hunt now, but I still got like 20 seconds before it technically can hunt. So, if it waits 3 minutes, then it's more than likely going to be a spirit. But a Pulte test just ends up being, you throw a bunch of items, so it hunted before 3 minutes. So it's not going to be a spirit. So we can go ahead and mark that out. But it's not enough items really to test for a Pulte. I mean, yeah, for a Pulte, but we'll still. So no, it is not a poltergeist. If it was a poltergeist, it wouldn't really levitate the items. It would just chuck them across the room very fast, and you'd be able to tell. So, another fast hunt. That was a very, very fast hunt. It was a very fast hunt. So the Abambo has the ability to actually have shorter hunts. Because each hunt, I think, is going to be... They're long hunts. So for long hunts on small maps, it's about a minute, I believe. Because I do know it's a normal ghost. A demon would have hunted way sooner than that. It's not an Obake. It's not a poltergeist. It hunted before the minute mark. It's not a Moroi. I mean, not a Myling, because I wouldn't be able to hear the footsteps. These are fairly quick hunts. That was 23 seconds, or that was about 30. So I'm going to say it's an Obambo for that reason. These other ghosts would have had a lot longer hunting periods. So for the short hunting ghost, I'm going to say it's an Obambo. It's done this every time now. The hunts are at least 30 seconds long. So I'm going to say Obambo. Because I haven't been to the ghost room to really tell if it's going to be a very, like, active ghost. But it definitely didn't show enough for it to be an Oni. It was a Goryo.
Welcome back. I've prepared some jobs for you.
Goryos are the bane of my existence. Like, it's mimic for... Goryo is the ghost that you don't want for no evidence runs. A Goryo, a Yurei are the two that you don't want for that. A Shade is also kind of but a Goryo would have been impossible to decipher. So, like... Honestly, if you have Goryo still, like, you're going to not have Goryo checked off at all, period. Because the only way you're going to determine whether it's a Goryo or not is if you have dots. And since we're on no evidence, we're not going to have dots. So, the ghosts that are going to be difficult to identify, we got another male. So, it's not these two. Goryo, Mare, and a Shade are going to be probably, and maybe I guess if you want to say an Onryo, are probably going to be your three most difficult ones to really identify. Goryo, whenever I have been, like, I thought Obambo just because the hunts were fairly short. They seemed to last about 30 seconds, which I thought was a lot longer. Yeah, so that's crazy. So I guess it wasn't crazy to not to have it that short. I reckon. I thought it was a lot longer than that. That's why I was thinking Obambo. But again, you're not always gonna be right. Like it's not gonna be something that you're going to get right every single time you decide to do like one of these types. It's not gonna be. You're not gonna be correct every single time. So don't. Oh God, it's in here. Oh God, it's in here. Oh God, it's in here. Okay, it's not a Galu though. Okay, in the front room is not where you want it. I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. It's gonna be a pain in the ass to kind of loop the ghost here in the front room. That was a very unfortunate spot for the ghost to be. We can loop it in the kitchen. It's just a lot safer in the living room and a lot better. We do know it's not a Galu or a Wraith. Hey. What's up? It tried hunting, so that is unfortunate. All right. So I'm going to turn this light off, and when I run through, I'm going to grab a smudge and a video camera and run through just to see if we have orbs. If we have orbs, it's a mimic, so that way we'll know for sure. But also a plus side of having it in here like this, it just ran in the kitchen. Plus side of having it in this room is you don't have to be in the room to gather orbs, which I don't see any, so I don't think we have ourselves a mimic. No. Yeah, it just ran in here. While I'm waiting, I'm going to throw some cups in here. Now, you can use an EMF reader as well to determine whether or not it's going to be like a wraith or a phantom. But because it stepped in the salt, I automatically know it's not going to be a wraith, at least. So that one is just out of the question. But the ghost you don't want, of course, would be like revenants and stuff like that. That would be the worst possible ghost that you could get for the during hunts. Anyways, Goryo is still the worst possible ghost you can get, and I got very unlucky with that first game because again, Goryos are just very impossible to decipher. So it's kind of bad luck that I got a Goryo for the first game on here for that. But let me get my stopwatch back up again here. Okay, so it's normal speed right now. Okay, so I just smudged it. Set my timer. I actually remember to set it this time. So, me being down here behind the counter, it has not seen me, so it did not have any line of sight speed. However, we do know now that it is... I touched one of the doors, but I still know which one it touched. So I'm going to put it right here, so that way it's kind of in a better position, really. But let me go out. I'm going to grab myself a candle. 2 of them, to be exact. We're going to see wonder if I can grab. Think he'll let me grab more than one? It's been a minute so far, but we know it's not any of these fast guys. So And it's not a yokai because I tried it. It's not a mimic. It's not this. It's not this. It's not a phantom. I'm gonna ride you. It didn't speed up. It's normal speed, so it's not twins either. Twins doesn't have a normal speed option. It's either fast or slow. So right now we're at a minute and a half. This is an Onryo test. So if it's not an Onryo, so that's how you know it's not an Onryo. So not an Oni. The Oni cannot do breath events. So the Onryo has to blow out a candle before it does a hunt. Another breath event. Okay. And also we know it's not a shade either because it tried to hunt in the same room as me. It's also not a poltergeist. It might be a spirit. No, it's not a spirit either because I hunted before 3 minutes. Okay. So we got these few guys left here. There is a way I can see if it's going to be a Mylink as well. I don't think it's Moroi either. A Hantu does not have line of sight speed, so I gotta keep that in mind as well. But it'd be a lot faster in the ghost room, and it started out as normal. It's not a demon. It's not a Mylink. Yurei is also going to kind of be a shitty ghost to kind of decipher, unfortunately, too. So I think we need to see if it has line of sight speed for one. But it's not a Mylink. So of course we got the shitty ghosts again. Very shitty ghosts again. It should start hunting no problem here in a minute. I'm gonna try and get a better look at it this time. Yeah, if it was a Hantu, it wouldn't have done that. Oh, wait a minute. 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 It sped up just a little bit there. Okay. So, we might have a Bambo? No. Hold on. Is it a Jinn? No, it hasn't touched the breaker. It didn't see me. I think it's a Jinn. It sped up when it saw me. I think we got a Jinn. That makes sense. Because it sped up when it saw me. So the Jinn speeds up when it sees you. So that's why I kind of was questioning it. It's a Jinn. I'm glad I got that right. So, what just happened there? So, I marked out Jen because I didn't let it see me, and I thought that it because of the fact that it was normal speed, it wasn't a Jen. But I didn't let the ghost directly see me, so I'm glad I did let it see me before leaving. Because of that fact, because the Jen will speed up to your location, but it will be normal speed once it finishes speeding up to you. So that was a plus. So I'm glad I did that, so that way we got the ghost correct. So that's just the best way I feel like of playing no evidence. And luckily, I mean, as much as it sucked getting a ghost in that first room, it was a good thing that we did get it at least, so that way I could go over to the next room, which of course we got the Goryo for the first time. Bad luck on that part. The Goryo is probably one of the worst ghosts you can get. And my saying is, when in doubt, vote Goryo. Vote Goryo if you're not sure about the ghost. Just vote Goryo because, I mean, if you're going to get it wrong, might as well guess the hardest ghost to identify. In which case, I thought it was Nobema just because of how quick the hunts finished. Because I had high ghost hunt duration. So I thought it would be a lot longer than that. But yeah, I mean, my mistake. The first one was my mistake. Accidents happen. But we are going to do something with one evidence now. So this is zero evidence. So this is my zero. You know what? Let's do it. This is zero evidence, but with 100% sanity, which still gives you ×8. And eligibility to get perfect games. So we'll go here and we'll do this on Tanglewood this time because, I feel like newer people will play a lot of Tanglewood. So we have Lucy Sherman. So that's interesting. So this time there's a chance that we're going to have a Banshee or a Dayan, which I don't have very many Dayan. I don't have very many Dayan possibilities. So, but I usually start out with the same 3 every time. Whenever I start a game, I always grab a thermo to identify the ghost room and EMF reader because it's an easy photo. Plus, it also helps identify where the ghost has thrown stuff. You could possibly get an EMF 5 very quickly, but since we have no evidence, we're not going to get that. And a photo cam. Because of the fact that the ghost could do a ghost event to you, you could easily get a ghost photo. So it kind of helps out in that regard. And also, you get 3 photos right off the bat if you take photos of the cursed object, if we got it, which I don't remember if I got a cursed object in here, but I'll find out when I get in there. So we need 3 unique photos with a photo cam. Anyways, the downside for no evidence when you're doing it like this is you have to have a ghost photo. A ghost photo has to happen because of the fact that for you to get a perfect game, because there's not enough photos for you to get in order for you to get a perfect game otherwise. So you're going to have to get a ghost photo, unfortunately. So having a photo cam for any kind of ghost event, period, would be helpful in the long run. So this is just like a normal game here. We're just going to go into it and start out by finding the ghost room, going through normal investigations like how we normally would do it, grabbing the bone, which I think the ghost room is in here because the temperature is a little low. Can you give us a sign? It's in here. Okay. So, we found the ghost room pretty instantly. So, I always leave that in there. And I usually go on a quest to find the bone after I find it. Which usually, I'll go through each room and look for the bone as I'm looking for the ghost room. But if I don't find it, we do get a voodoo doll. Which I do not like. I don't like the voodoo doll at all. Voodoo doll is probably one of the worst ones you could get for this. Your ideal one would be summoning circle because of the fact that easy ghost photo, so you could easily just take a photo of the ghost. But we will see here. Okay. We'll look in each room, see if we find a bone anywhere. So, just as a general rule of thumb, shut doors when you're done looking in the room and try if you can to... Oh, there it is. Just turn off lights as you're in them. So this is going to be our set looping spot. So do not, turn off lights. What I recommend is have lights that lights your path to the area you're going to go. So that way you don't lose any extra sanity on your way. So for here, for instance, I have the light on in the ghost room, the hallway right here, this foyer, the living room, this little hallway, and the dining room. So that way, no matter where I go, this is going to be the normal path that I'm going to be traveling through more often than not. So I'm going to be leaving out the door and stuff like that. So that way, I don't lose any extra sanity. Now, a lot of people will let their sanity drain so that way they get ghost activity, which is understandable. However, in my eyes, if my sanity drain is already at 200%, I'm not really caring whether or not my sanity drain is going to be that high. So, like, I'm not really caring about my sanity drain that much if my sanity drain is already going to be draining at 200% anyways. I mean, a lot of people have different ideas of how to play, but this is just my way of playing it here. So, we'll turn the light off in the ghost room. Check for orbs. Usually orbs on no evidence is, of course, an immediate sign of a mimic, which we do not have. So, keep that in mind. Okay. So, did step in the salts. So, this will be an easy sign of a day in. If it does not, I mean, a Galoo. If it doesn't step in this other salt right here, we have a Galoo. Very interesting ghost to have, too. Very interesting ghost. Interesting. All right, so two things. We don't have a Wraith, and we don't have a Galoo. So we can instantly, and we don't have a Mimic. So we can instantly mark all those three off. Because the Galoo would not have walked in any of these salt piles, period, at all. So we can go ahead and mark those off as, you know, evidences. Let's go ahead and make our way outside again. And now we can do an Onryo test. So if you're very unsure about no evidence modes and all that good stuff, like doing it kind of like this is kind of helpful. Like, play it if you want to try no evidence modes. Like, of course, start with 2 evidences. That's going to be your big key factor is 2 evidences. So if you start with 2 and you're able to comfortably identify the ghost better, can I place the candle, please? And you're able to identify the ghost better with 2 evidences, you know, start doing it with 1, and then make your way to 0. But you got to be comfortable with the ghost kind of putting pressure on you and hunting you. You got to be comfortable with it, and that's like the unfortunate part that a lot of people kind of back out of is that. But it's very helpful if you kind of bring yourself out of that comfort zone. But so we'll put the candle here. Let's go ahead and light it. Okay, so that's how we know it's not an Oni. So if we did that in time, we would have easily been able to know that it was not a thingamajig. So, not an Oni. Onis cannot do breath events. Do keep that in mind. Alright, so I don't think it's an Onryo. Oh, it went away. So, it's not an Onryo. Onryo blows out 3 candles and it hunts. So, it can't be that. Oh, EMF. I'm taking a photo of it. So, I need to make sure I get that as well. So, I usually always save 1 recording, 1 sound recording, and 1 hunt option for that. No, I didn't get it in time. That sucks. So that's what happens when you don't have it, when you don't pick up the stuff in time. So videos, I need to get, let me light a candle again So that way it'll blow it out and I can get a recording of it. I'm just going my candle out, my camera out for a bit. So that way if it decides to do any kind of events or anything like that, I can record it or some decent video recordings. So for the quests, Parabolic and Escape the Ghost. So these are kind of decent ones. The Parabolic is just a waiting game. Basically, I'm just going to sit outside the room with a crucifix and record it. And that's going to be it. Come on, dude. You can do lights flickering, but I think it has to be certain types of lights flickering, which kind of sucks. There we go. Okay. So I need 2 more videos. So for here, you're not really trying to go for the best photo that you can go, like the best recordings you can go for. Just get what you can get. So that right there, telltale sign, it's not a Ure. Didn't fully open the door. So we can go ahead and mark that off. There is another video we can get as well, actually, now I think about it. And that's motion sensor. So we can grab the motion sensor, put it down, and that's how we can also test whether or not it's going to be a Banshee or not. Because then it'll go to our location and we can find out whether or not it'll be that. But we'll do that in just a little bit. My hair tickling my ear. I need a haircut so bad. Alright, I'm gonna pick you up. So we can get it to do some activities, but with the voodoo doll, but there's still a chance that it can hunt, and it can hunt right on top of me. So got it. All right. So now you literally need 1 more video, and that's going to be safe for the ghost during the hunt. So I'm not too worried about not getting this last video. I can usually get it. But we do need 2 more photos as well. So I got to keep that in mind. Ghosty, ghosty, ghosty. Bitch boy. Girl. Trying to break her off. So we know it's not a Jinn because of that. Okay. So we can cross the Jinn off the lists. You joking me right now? There we go. Okay. Last recording, easy to get. We'll throw it here on the table. Because it will be a hunt version. So, those are done. So we need to get parabolic as well. Okay. Done. Alright, our sanity's still actually kind of decent, so I'll take that. Grab another crucifix and head over here. So, we need it to try and hunt sometime or another. So, we do got a ghost photo, so that's a plus. So, and it did not disappear, so it's not a phantom. So we can go ahead and mark that out. Shade? I don't think so, because it did start doing a little more activities when I did actually decide to do that. So I don't think it's going to be a shade either. So now for a main test here. For a Banshee. So Banshee is kind of easy to test for. Annoying, but easy. Because just take a little thing here. I'm going to put it right there. I'm going to drag the camera here. So after this, we only need parabolic, because I need to do the parabolic anyway. So I'm going to take the cruci with me and do it as well. But usually you take it to the other side of the room. Oh shit, I still got smudges. I need to put one on the kitchen table. So what we'll do, we'll go to the far side of the house, which is, I mean, all the way over here, of course. Well, I've already put the first one. To where it seems like it has no business being, and stick motion sensors like in your direct area location. So there's a shadow ghost this time, you little bitch. Only had my camera in my hand, I would have gotten it. Alright, so I'm gonna grab the parabolic and the last two smudges. So I think out of all the ghosts here, these will be the only ghosts that we can really do tests for before having to get a hunt. So Mare you could do a test for. Like you could do the turn on light, but there's a small chance that it's actually going to do its normal ghost event. Or secret ghost ability, which is like turning off the light as soon as you turn it on. There's a very small chance of that happening. You little cockfucker. So we're gonna throw you here. You're still in here. Leave. I need a crucifix. It's stupid. I'm an idiot. Didn't grab a cruci. Okay. So, stand by here, grab yourself a crucifix, and it's kind of a waiting game at this point. So, this sucker should be able to hear across the house. I kind of hope so, because it'd be a lot easier this way. So, if these motion sensors go off at any point in time... Oh, you little dick cheese. Okay, photos are done. Alright, let me look at my sanity real quick. I know it's touched me twice, right? %60 threshold? That's kind of interesting. That's kind of interesting. I haven't memorized all the ghosts that have 60%. So, because of that, legitimately, all of these ghosts are out. Every bit of them. So, the Mare, Raiju, Demon, and Taiye are the only ones that are options here. So, these are all out at this point. So, it's literally Taiye, Raiju, Mare, Demon. Because of that. It's because of that hunt right there. That was a very early, or not very, but that was a pretty early hunt. I'm not going to lie to you. So, we still need to get the parabolic microphone challenge done, though. So, I'm going to turn the light on and see if it hunts again. Because if it hunts again with the light on, then it's not a mare. Oh. I've never had the hiss. If it tries hunting again with the light on, it's a mare. I mean, it's not a mare if it tries to hunt with the light on. Very interesting. Okay. I mean, for the last two, I needed to hunt anyways. So, I'll be able to definitely tell if it's a Taiye because it will be kind of fast. And say for the Raiju, because of the motion sensors, it'll be a pretty fast ghost. So, these will kind of be easily identifiable. Oh, shit. I mean... Oh, damn. That actually worked? Holy fuck. Okay, I did not do the timer in time. So, it's not a Raiju. I didn't really have it see me enough to do a... to do that. Alright, we're got to have it again. So, it's not a... definitely not... Hold on. I don't know if the light was on still. It could have hunted in the dark. But it's not a Raiju. Didn't speed up. I have been near the ghost for a bit, which doesn't make me think it'll be a Taiye because, I mean, it sounded normal speed. It's been a minute. It's been a little over a minute since I smudged it. A demon would have taken shorter. Alright, you turn off. Okay, it's definitely been about a minute and a half now at this point. Okay, tried hunting again. Well, well, well. What do we have here? That was a mare ability. That's what you want to look for. That's what you want to look for if you have yourself a mare, is that. Very, very lucky for that mare ability right there. Look at that. 40, almost 4,500 bucks for that. So now we can upgrade our book and our camera. Hallelujah. No. Here we go. So yeah, so that is the easiest way to play times 8 difficulty. And also it does get you some decent level ups. Like honestly, if it gives you 4400 XP, that's literally practically one level per game until you get almost up to level 100. Like it's pretty much one level per game. So if you can play zero evidence game modes, and get perfect investigations like this every time, that's one level every single time. So if you can play that much, because like normally if you play nightmare difficulty, that's about 2 levels per, but it's definitely still decent levels for that system right there. But that is zero evidence with everything. So that is kind of how you can go through zero evidences and stuff like that. It's just a lot of it takes a lot of like learning and stuff like that. So I can go through the ghost types again, with a lot of hidden abilities and stuff like that, considering now that they are in fact like by alphabetical order, and there's 27 of them. So I haven't had a lot of Abambos, but I do know that it does have shorter time hunting, which is why I thought that the Abambo that was the Abambo the first time instead of the Goryo, because of just the hunting time. The Galu will not step into the assault twice. If it steps into it once, after a couple seconds, give it a minute, give it a couple seconds and see if it steps into assault again. If it doesn't, you got a Galu. The Dayan will speed up. With you. So if you start walking, the Dayan will also speed up. But if you stand still, the ghost will be slower. So you just kind of have to be moving and sitting still at the same time as that, in order for you to determine whether or not it's going to be that. The Banshee will roam to your location, which is why I tried the motion sensor tactic in the hallway. The Demon will hunt very early. Sometimes it has the ability to hunt at any point in time, any sanity. So that's kind of an easy sign if it's a demon or not. However, it can also have a 1 minute cooldown after being smudged for it to hunt. So if it hunts within a minute and before a minute and a half, it's usually going to be a demon. A Deogen is very, very fast at the start, but when it gets close to your location, it'll be very, very slow. It's probably one of the best ghosts to have, period, at all. So the Goryo is a bitch ghost. The only way you're going to be able to identify it is by camera dots, and it is impossible to get those on the evidence runs. So the Goryo, like I got unlucky with the Goryo. When in doubt, vote Goryo. If you're unsure about, like if you get a Goryo, mare, Ure, like we got a mare that last game, which is also kind of a nightmare ghost to get, but because of the fact that I turned the light off and started hunting at a 60% sanity, it kind of rang some bells in my head saying, okay, it could be a mare possibly. And then I tried that ability at the end there, which you saw where it turned off the light as soon as I turned it on. That's a mare ability. It's a mare. The Jinn cannot touch the breaker. It will speed up to your general location once it sees you, but it will go back to normal speed instantly. And that's kind of the sure signs for a Jinn usually. The Hantu does not have line of sight speed. The Hantu and the Taiye both do not have line of sight speed, period. And they will speed faster if the box is off. So the fuse box is off, they will be fast, but you can see their breath. They're fast ghosts, but again, they don't have line of sight speed, so you can kind of like loop it in a general way. You can kind of loop it pretty fast for that reason. The Moroi goes by your sanity. The lower your sanity, the faster the ghost is. If it's at 0% sanity and at full line of sight speed, it is the fastest ghost in the game. And I will tell you, if you got full line of sight speed on a Moroi, it will catch you eventually. So just keep that in mind. And it does have a 7-second smudge time rather than a 5-second, so it does get smudged a little longer. So it kind of nerfs it in a way, because yeah, it is the fastest ghost in the game with line of sight. It is kind of nerfed by the extra 2-second smudge time for you to get away. The Myling is very quiet ghost. If you are sitting in the back of a house, kind of like what I did in Willow Street for the first game, and you don't hear footsteps, it's more than likely a Myling. Mylings sometimes get me kind of all out of whack sometimes, because I feel like I can hear it. I don't know if that's a headphone problem or a me problem, but I can kind of hear a Myling a lot of times. So sometimes I'll confuse a Myling with other ghosts, but I mean, it happens. The Obake will shapeshift during hunts. So if you had, no matter what, like if you get the ghost to hunt you and you're going around stuff, and all of a sudden the Obake turns from a freaking butcher model to the to patient 7 model, it's more than likely an obake. If you're playing with evidences, it also leaves 6-finger evidences sometimes, and it can also hide its UV evidence fairly often. The Oni, you can see the Oni a lot more. It is also the most aggressive ghosts to have. So if you go into a house and you get like 3 ghost events back to back to back, like you just get 3 ghost events instantaneously, and all of a sudden you look and you got 20% sanity, it's an Oni, more than likely. Every time that's happened, I usually guess Oni and leave, because Onis are bitches to deal with, and they're pretty fun to deal with though. The Onryo cannot hunt if there is a candle open in the room, and they can also not light candles at all. So if you have 3 candles, which I did that test in the last game, if you got 3 candles, you light candles in the room under a crucifix, and it hunts over top, then it's not going to be an Onryo, because the Onryo has to blow out a candle before it hunts. So keep that in mind. The Phantom is very invisible. If you take a photo of it or a video of it, it will turn invisible instantaneously, and you can also not see it very many times during the hunt. And also, it is the other ghost that can do teleportation, which kind of sucks a little bit. So keep that in mind. The Poltergeist throws a lot of shit. That's all you need to know. Poltergeist test can also do a Poltergeist explosion, and I've never had that happen actually. So I usually do it. I usually pile up items in areas where the ghost is not, because the Polter explosion will tank your sanity. So just keep that in mind. If you have a pile like in your looping spot, throw a big pile of items in your looping spot, go around. If the ghost throws it like every second or two, it seems like, and just nothing is on the table when the hunt's done, you're most likely dealing with a Poltergeist. The Raiju has very base boosted heart thumps. I've heard this a couple of times. It's very base boosted, but they also speed up quicker when you have electronics. So it's kind of an easy identifiable ghost. If it goes from normal speed and you got motion sensor sitting in the hallway, and all of a sudden the ghost speeds up and then slows down when it goes to your looping spot, it's probably a Raiju. The Revenant is insanely slow, which is probably why it's very easily identifiable, because if your ghost is like very slow like that, and then all of a sudden speeds up as quick as fuck when it sees you, it's probably a Revenant. The Shade does nothing. It's literally nothing. You sit in a room and there's absolutely nothing at all, period. You're more than likely dealing with a Shade. It cannot hunt in the same room as you. And if it doesn't do ghost events at all when you're standing in the room, but all of a sudden you leave, lights off, and it does events, you're most likely dealing with a Shade. The Spirit has a 3-minute cooldown, and that is the only way you're going to identify a Spirit. So when you have a Spirit and you smudge them, and if it doesn't hunt within 3 minutes, that is the only way that you're going to identify this basic ass ghost. The Taiye is a fast ghost at the start, and it is an early hunter, but the longer you stay near the ghost in the same room with the ghost, vice versa, it will be very, very slow, and it has no line of sight speed. So it is probably another really good ghost to deal with later on in the game once you've been around the ghost longer. The Mimic can mimic any ghost in the game. On no evidence runs, it is a very, very good ghost to get. Once you see orbs, you know what kind of ghost you're dealing with. So the Mimic, it can mimic any ghost in there. So it's not really much to tell about the Mimic. If you see orbs, it's a Mimic. The Twins can only switch between a fast ghost or a slow ghost. If you have a normal speed ghost, 9 times out of 10 it won't be a twin. So the twins, if you have one hunt, all of a sudden you hear like slow-ish footsteps, slower than normal speed but not quite normal speed. It's probably, at first you're gonna have to get it to hunt you like a couple times before, because it's a 50-50 chance that it gives you either or. So it could do both slow twins, it could do both fast twins, vice versa. It could do either or. So just keep that in mind when dealing with them. But they also will interact with stuff at the same time. So if you're all of a sudden you got one item that throws, but you got a door touch at the same time, then it's probably twins. But because there's not going to do, a regular ghost isn't going to do that at the same time. It's just not. So a wraith cannot step in salt. That is your first sign that it is a wraith. It can also teleport to you as well. So if you're carrying around your EMF reader and you turn it on, and all of a sudden it's a basement ghost, and all of a sudden you get an EMF 2 reading up in the living room, it's a wraith more than likely. So it's either a wraith or a phantom. So just keep that in mind. So put salt around you, see if it doesn't step into salt. That's really how you identify if it's a wraith. The yokai, also called the dome ghost, cannot hear your electronics from a decent length away. So the yokai, if you push B, or if you have a flashlight, whichever, and it does not go to your location, you're dealing with a yokai. That is, and it also will hunt early if you're talking around it. So just keep that in mind as well. But usually the yokais aren't really that big of a problem. I haven't had one in a while, actually. The Yurei is the only ghost that can touch the front door. I find a lot of times that the Yurei is usually closer to the front door than any other ghost. I've normally never had a Yurei that's in the basement. I've not that many times that I've had a Yurei in an upstairs bedroom, but it's also the only ghost that can fully open and fully close the door, and that's the only thing they do. So other ghosts can also do this as well. However, if you have a ghost that opens the door and cracks the door, you can immediately rule out a Yurei, because it's just not going to be do that. So that's pretty much the best way to identify a Yurei. So the mimic can also touch the front door, but it leaves UV evidence. So if you get a mimic or a Yurei, and if it touches the front door, these are going to be your two options. So usually if your front door closes, you know that you either going to have a mimic or Yurei. Look for ghost orbs to identify for a mimic, and then for Yurei, of course, it's going to have ghost orbs too for Yurei. But if you don't know evidence runs, it's going to be a mimic, because of the fact that, yeah. So yeah, that's how you identify every single ghost. And here, just a quick little rundown of every single ghost in the game. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I hope it helped.